This is Nothing But That Sports Talk. Welcome to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Rafique Louison Ryan Walker on hand. And yeah, of course, we're not done talking about the NFL playoffs since you was on the show with Deb, but obviously your phone kind of died out, so you couldn't really finish giving your thoughts on everything going on. Well, we already talked over the Giants and Vikings matchup. I mean, it's good to see the Giants back in the postseason. All we addressed the DeMar Hillman situation. But now let's just get to the other matchups that we haven't talked about. Starting off with the Seattle Seahawks and the 49ers. The last year, the 49ers did get to the NFC title game. Do you see the 49ers at least win this game?
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, definitely see them being the Seahawks, but they better be careful. You know, I got to tell my guy in the back beforehand. It's postseason is always a different kind of football, and the Seahawks have a very good running back in Kenneth Walker the third. I mean, it could be the third or the fourth, but Kenneth Walker per se, who's had a really good season, really good rookie season, and can really run the football. And Seattle's O-line is good at run blocking per se, and Seattle's defense is playing. So I'm not a big Geno Smith fan, you know that already, but Geno has. And I can't even go postseason because I believe this is Geno's first time in the postseason.
First time
I'm talking about
in the 10 season.
In the postseason. But he has more NFL savvy and experience. And that's what I was telling my guy, that's going to be the biggest thing that we measure with the Niners to me, because the Niners are loaded with offensive talent and skilled players, without a doubt, and are the better team on paper. But now we also have to see how their rookie quarterback is going to do in his first time being in the postseason, and what kind of plays and experiences. And if I'm the defensive coordinator for Seattle, I'm trying to ring up a hell of a game plan this week to show this kid a lot of different looks and everything. Because if they can find a way to disrupt him doing that, then they'll have a great opportunity to move past. So there's some games that and we'll get into that game. The only game that I think that could be lopsided and go would be Baltimore and Cincinnati, and that's only because Lamar is not there, or I don't know what his status is, how he's gonna whatever. If he's not the Lamar we know, then it's going to be interesting. But I think all these games are going to be very close. They're going to be very good games. I think Seattle has a better chance than what the world is probably going to perceive. But yet and still, the Niners should be the favorite to win that game against the Seahawks.
Yeah, without question, sorry about that. It's just my own shaky. In fact, I'll just get rid of it because it's a little bit of a distraction. But anyways, you got to give it to this. This is the 49ers team that started off kind of below average. But when they picked up Christian McCaffrey from the Carolina Panthers, the running offense really picked it up big time, as well as the passing offense that the three quarterbacks of the 49ers have had. I mean, no matter what quarterback they're using, unlike the New York Jets, as long as you have a good running back and receiver core, you good.
Correct. It can mean a lot of success in the NFL.
Without question. Now we get to the next matchup. I believe next matchup. The Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I've been watching so many different sports shows this past couple of days saying that if the Cowboys lose this matchup, knowing damn well that they have never defeated Tom Brady once in franchise history, this could be the end of Mike McCarthy's coaching career as a Cowboy. He had a lot of regular season success, but just like every other coach for the Dallas Cowboys, you can't translate that into playoff victories. Do you see McCaffrey getting fired after this Monday, if they lose?
Anything is possible with the Dallas Cowboys. So, Jerry Jones can turn around the wrong way tomorrow and feel differently and go from there. I could see the Cowboys doing that if Jerry Jones wants to put a scapegoat on somebody and go from there. But you see, here goes the biggest thing about the Cowboys. I think you need, if you can't have a big name or somebody who's young and upcoming or somebody who you trust, Jerry Jones usually picks a lot of his coaches based off guys that he can kind of coddle and control or be his friend. Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones have a good rapport, so I could see Mike McCarthy losing and him still keeping Mike McCarthy because he's a good. They have a good rapport, and he can still control McCarthy per se. Hopefully, that's not sounding crazy because that was the biggest thing, even with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett's not a silly football guy. I still believe. I think he's on TV now. He had the head coaching job with the Cowboys for a few years. Had a little bit of success. Never won some Super Bowls, but they had a little bit of success here and there. And then here comes one of my good guys right here, my man Jalen Hurts. Hold on, let me get my man Jalen Hurts in here for a second. Rafique, what we doing? Hold on, I'm right here. But he's had years that he's done well per se. What was I just talking about? I was talking about the which matchup we're talking about now again?
The Cowboys and the Buccaneers.
Right. But I don't know, man. They in trouble because the Cowboys is the better team, but you're playing Tom Brady.
And how many times have we talked about Tom Brady and his greatness in the NFL outside the losses to the Giants and the one loss to the Eagles? How many times do we have to keep saying on the air, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time?
He's the greatest quarterback ever, and I don't think they should fire. If they fire him, that's not fair to him because it's not. It's all their faults why the Cowboys are not successful. But it has many different factors. They've had some bad luck in some different situations here and there. But before we even look at Mike McCarthy, we got to look at how Dak Prescott is playing. And I think Dak Prescott's a decent player. But he's leading the league in interceptions, and he missed 5-6 games.
Exactly.
Those
games he missed. This Cooper Rush was carrying that team.
Right. Here and there, you in your past you did this thing to give away the picks for Amari Cooper, then you eventually give Amari Cooper away, then he's there. That there's other things. They've had injuries here. And then it's just the Cowboys. It's just what could go wrong goes wrong, like Stephen A. Smith will say. And he's not the main reason, but I could see them making a knee-jerk decision to try to put it off on him. Because what else can you do? You can't give the quarterback not the money. He got the money he earned is what it is. It's not their fault that the run game is inconsistent. Zeke is getting older. Pollard is really good, but now they can't run the ball a lick in these last couple of weeks, right? And they're a team sometimes that starts off so blazing and goes from there. Beginning of the year, all I can hear is Micah Parsons is the next Lawrence Taylor. They're rushing the quarterback. They're getting sacks. They're not getting any sacks now. They're not getting to the quarterback now. They've been playing abysmal football.
They're coming off a bad game against the Washington Commanders, but then again, that's meaningless because they know the playoff position and the Commanders are out. So,
but they needed to play good football that week because they haven't been playing good football going into it, and they didn't do that. And just for the record, as I could say, the Cowboys have more talent than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and are more healthier than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But off the strength that Tampa has Tom Brady, who's phenomenal in postseason and the greatest quarterback to ever play football, with the fact that they do have that defense that was a Super Bowl defense a few years ago, but struggling now. They got those guys back. They know how to win when it counts. Evans and some other guys are there. I think the Buccaneers are going to win a close game and send the Cowboys home. And this is going to be a very disappointing season for them for winning that many amount of games and having such high expectations and their luck to get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round. It'd be such a story to me. Like, it's not an accomplishment, but it'd be such a story to me if I could look at a Cowboy fan and say, you know what, we have to do our thing too, even though we have a great chance. Like, the Giants went farther than you guys, and you guys swept us.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know what? I believe the Cowboys can still win this game, even
Mhm.
since they got the offensive defense to beat them this time. I mean, it was an old total no show in the
They're
first week.
supposed to win the game. They're better than Tampa.
It's a total no show. They're supposed to win. Tom Brady's older, but again, this is Tom Brady we're talking about here.
Correct.
We can't sleep on this guy. But
And
it's not like it's a Tom Brady never blow leads this year himself. I mean, I remember they were up like 17-0 against the Cincinnati Bengals, but they found a way to get smoked. So it's not like as if he hasn't blown leads himself.
well, their biggest thing is this: that I mean, I'm not gonna say it can't happen because there's a lot of storylines about how certain teams can make a run. But we gotta look at it like this: they have a proven championship savvy quarterback that's been in all types of situations. They do have championship guys on that offense as well as the defense. A lot of their core staff and guys have been there before. They know how to do it. They 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 struggled. They like a slug got into the postseason, right? Tampa Bay had such an up and down year, and they beat Carolina in a big game at the end, get into the end and get into the postseason. And now with a savvy veteran team, I mean that's what you're looking for. Hey, you won your division, whether it was 0-16 or 16-0, you won it. You have a postseason chance now, and you have a home game, and you have, regardless of age in all situations, you have the most trusted quarterback in the NFL playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you have that, you have a chance.
Without question. You want to know who else has a chance? The Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins. Tua's going to be out for the playoff game going up against a Buffalo Bills team. And while we're on the subject of Buffalo, it's been announced that Buffalo and Kansas City were to reach the AFC Town game. They're going to play at Mercedes-Benz Stadium all the way to ATL, since they couldn't compete that one game with the Bills Cincinnati because of the Damar Hamlin situation. But predictions, well, we all know our predictions. Buffalo over Miami.
Yeah, Buffalo's gonna smoke them. That's the biggest thing. No Tua, and that might be the other joint. That might be a guaranteed smoke job there. Unless it just happens to be funky, weird ways of having close postseason football. It's gonna be very difficult for them to go up there to Buffalo town, and Tyreek Hill was already talking about the secondary players on Buffalo need to get their hamstrings together. I don't know if you don't got the right quarterback going into football, it's not going to be a good thing. Miami's in trouble, and they might get beat bad.
Yeah, I mean, they even with the win early this season, and then they played them tough and literally snouts of snow falling in the face. This is going to be the one where they're going to get smoked for sure, without Tua. And they kind of struggled to end the season, even though they did defeat the New York Jets. And we didn't really get to elaborate on the Jets losing to the Miami Dolphins.
11-6.
It was literally a field.
What an offensive extravaganza.
It was literally a field goal contest in that game. Like, seriously. But anyways, on to the next matchup, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the last time these two teams met, Trevor Lawrence had 3 touchdowns, 228 yards on the Los Angeles Chargers. This is big. This is a big matchup for them because we're talking about 2 quarterbacks playing the postseason for the first time. Do you think that the Jacksonville Jaguars is going to beat the Chargers again, or will the Chargers get their revenge?
No, I like Trevor Lawrence. I'm going Jacksonville all the way. I don't even want to talk about analytics, nothing. I like Trevor Lawrence. I love what Doug Peterson is doing down there with them. That defense, I don't know. We could go backtrack on the show. Remember I told you about Jacksonville's defense? I told you they spent good money in the offseason. They actually spent the most money in the offseason on the defense, bringing in guys on top of, believe it or not, some of these years when they've been bad, they've picked up draft picks, key acquisitions on their defense throughout and now it's finally coming to fruition. They have a really good defense. They have Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback. The running back is very good as well, too. I'm forgetting the young man's name. but the running back is Etienne. Etienne, French national. I think his people might be of Haitian descent too as well. But Etienne runs the football. They do well at that. I like Jacksonville all the way. I think they're gonna. It's so crazy. I'm gonna say they're gonna shock the world because the Chargers are a newcomer frame, but Justin Herbert is a stud without a shadow of a doubt. Tough. Is this his third year? It's not a sophomore year. It's his third year, right, Justin?
I believe his third year in the league.
Third year. He had a tougher year this year than his first 2 years, but he still played good football to standards. Still great numbers.
Football last year, he literally made field goal by the Las Vegas Raiders just for them not to make it.
Right. So he's playing better, but I just think Jacksonville, believe it or not, is the better football team. And who is Jacksonville have the home game, right?
Yes, Jacksonville's.
Yeah, I like Jacksonville, man.
And the funny thing about it is, the funny thing about it is, all three Florida area football teams are in the postseason, and that's the first time that's ever happened. And then, not to mention, both Tampa Bay and Jacksonville, they have the lowest home field advantage in this year's playoffs.
Wow. Well, we shall see. We could have had all New York teams, but the Jets didn't work that one out.
Yeah, the Jets choked. Yeah, the Jets choked in the final seconds. I don't know what's going on, but you know what? Let's just get to the next matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. And I know Cincinnati did defeat the Ravens the last time, and they should have no problem defeating them this time, especially since Lamar Jackson's out for that game at least. Assuming the Baltimore Ravens don't make it to the next round, this could be it for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they got to, that marriage is, I think, man, that one's going to be really tough. Baltimore offered him a contract earlier. It probably wasn't to the money that he's supposed to be getting. He refused. They probably could have didn't lock things up way in the past with him, and they didn't. Then he bet on himself, which, he showed, of course, he's a phenomenal quarterback and they should pay him. But then he got hurt. So we don't know how that might have an impact. Hopefully they don't just franchise tag him. Hopefully they eventually, come to both sides and work it out. Because he's a stud quarterback. If they don't pay him, somebody else eventually will. Unless they franchise tag him. And even after that, somebody will play him because Lamar's an incredible talent. Unless he just falls off the cliff one year and then everybody just gives up on him. I doubt that. So, but that's that one. If I'm him, and this is what I'm hearing inside, but if I'm him, I'm not playing. I'm not going back out there and what I've been playing in the last 5-6 weeks. Have to go now 100%, 100 miles an hour in a game where whether fair or not, he's going to be evaluated to see how good he's doing, because in a couple of months, the team has to think about paying him, right? Mm-hmm. So that performance, which would be unfair to judge from one capsule, can leave a whole body of evidence where certain people decide not to take a shot at him or pay less or pay more, whatever the case may be. So if I'm him, I'm leaving him on with the last thing that they've seen on me, which is Lamar going out playing good football when he got hurt. And let's see where the chances roll from there. And it also, it's just not good timing. Hopefully they can put a game plan together for Tyrone Huntley. I don't believe in him at all. And he's going to be thrown in the fire. And Cincinnati's hotter than fish grease. I don't think they've lost like in 2 or 3 months almost. And Joe Burrow's an absolute stud. I mean, does it make any sense to try to piece that together at the end? I don't know.
Yeah, not to mention Joe Burrow has last year's loss to the Super Bowl in his mind. So, he's going to come in hot this time around.
100%.
Okay, now getting on to some basketball news as well. Damn, I don't really think of any basketball to talk about. Oh, yeah, Kevin Durant got injured and he's going to be out for almost a month. He'll be reevaluated for 2 weeks, but he'll be out for a month. So, yeah, the second or third consecutive January in a row, Kevin Durant gets injured. The Nets can't beat the Celtics. So, but do you see the Nets continuing to getting back to the winning ways that they've had for the past month as they won with 18 of the last 21 games?
They might have a little They might have a little bit of a difference per se, but I think they should still be fine. At least I hope they should be fine. Kyrie's playing at a high level, no issues right now. Ben's playing well. We always talk about the impact Claxton has. Hopefully now this can give somebody else from that core, to Harris, or I don't know what to say. Is Cam Thomas healthy?
Yeah, I believe he's healthy. They just not using him.
Yeah, they need to, somebody else from that nucleus needs to, TJ Warren, this might be the time for one of those guys. You're going to have extra shots in time to now make that time up in his absence. No, you can never replace Kevin Durant.
You can't replace his phenomenal offense. Not even Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons has barely scored much. I mean, he's averaging about 7 points per game. But he is doing a good job on the rebound and assist. So
yes, and defensively.
That one. And not to mention, he hasn't played in over a year. So we got to cut the guy some slack for having this little hangover that he's had.
But that's what I'm gonna say. Well, analytically wise, this is why this puts a different hiatus on Ben, because Ben can just play his role and do his thing when Durant and Kyrie's both there, because they're so gifted offensively and they're strapped with shooters and other good players around them. But with Durant out, he's gonna have to pick up more of a role facility-wise to find these other guys to take the offense or onus off him, because if not, now he's gonna be looked upon to score more. They're gonna say, hey, listen, Ben, Durant's out, you got to find a way to give us 8 to 10 more points to make up for that. So if you can't get it from yourself, you want to still stay in your role, you got to facilitate more, make sure these other guys get shots and make these shots, because it's going to be a transition for a month without him. My guy was just talking to me about it. He's like, oh, we're not going to see Durant for the 28th game because we're going on the 28th. I said, well, hopefully the evaluation after 2 weeks says that he can play, and we do see him. But didn't know that's how many Januaries he was out. But, they will have a transition. It won't be the streak they had before, even though the capabilities and talent is there. Anytime you have Kyrie Irving, you can do things on the basketball court with a team. But it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. And that's the tough part, man. See, that's what changes. You know what I always said about Brooklyn? Unfortunately, sky's the limit with them, but it's just health and consistency of keeping guys, because that's the one thing that can channel you from being second in the East to going back down to the 4th or the 5th. And if they have that swing this time, it might be too late by the time Durant comes back to pendulum them back to the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference. But we'll see.
And I hope that's not the case, because, well, you got the Oklahoma City Thunder this weekend coming up. And we both been talked about how good OKC can be. They just blasted the Philadelphia 76ers. Surprisingly. We both know how good OKC can be when Gilgeous Alexandra is running that offense seriously. They got a road trip against the San Antonio Spurs. We know they can beat them. They got the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have been struggling, even though they did beat the Golden State Warriors. They got the Utah Jazz. They've been below average after that hot start at the beginning of the year. They got the Golden State Warriors, who are bad on the road, but hot at home, even though they did recently. I already talked about the loss to the Suns, and they had 2 losses to Orlando and Detroit. They had no business losing those games. But so Brooklyn should turn it around. And of course, you talked about the game with the New York Knicks are going to be attending. So yeah, that could be the moment when the Knicks end their losing streak against a KD and Kyrie led Brooklyn Nets team with KD on the bench. Well,
you see, that's why I'm glad you brought up those things you just said, because that's why I kept fighting with you. And I know sometimes you'd be like, man, Ryan's such a hater. He's a tough critic and a tough jerk. Because when you were talking to me about 2 weeks or maybe even a week ago and saying, the Nets could go on the street, they could win like 1920. I'm like, Rafique, let's slow down here before we get to 19, 20, 25, because there are many things that can happen that can change the trajectory of everything in a winning streak. And I just, it was unfair. And the fan base, not saying for Brooklyn fans. So Brooklyn fans are I don't have no issue with the fan base compared to the people who sit in the stands who are not the true fan base of the Brooklyn Nets. But that's a whole different discussion. But with the Brooklyn Nets having so many issues in the last 2.5 years with turmoil and consistency, when they won 10, 11 games and people are like, they go in 2025, I'm like, let's slow down. let's just have these guys together for a month straight without it being seriously. Let's just say, flat out.
They are coming off 12 wins in a row. And you know what? 2 of the last 3 losses was against the Boston Celtics, the team that swept them in the playoffs last year. So, yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. In the last 3.5, 4 years, we've seen Kenny Atkinson get fired. Kevin Durant, big injury to get in when he first got there. Kyrie injury at the beginning as well, too, plus up and down issues. The bubble. Kyrie's off the court things with his conversation about the bubble and they're not playing. The situation this year with Kyrie with the whole situation with the anti-Semitic things. Which I'm on Kyrie Irving's side with that, but that's the situation that occurred. The situation last year with the vaccination and not being there. Durant's injuries on top of that. James Harden coming and then James Harden going. Steve Nash getting fired. With all these, and there's things that I'm missing from the situations. With all of that,
Joe Harris getting hurt.
Joe Harris getting hurt. Karis LeVert trade. There's been many things, so many plethora of things. Jacques Vaughn coming and doing a phenomenal job. But they've had too much things. It's like when I talk to a Jets fan, and I say, I'll be like, can you slow down? You talking about winning? You talking about going to the AFC Championship game, and y'all haven't even won the division in 20 years. Just be happy you won 4 games in a row. Oh no, we're gonna win. No, you're not winning the championship game.
You can't.
Just be. Do you know how happy I am that the Giants won 9 games during the postseason? They could win or lose to the Vikings, as far as I'm concerned. My season is done. I picked them to be 7-10.
And they would have been 10-7 if they didn't time with the Commanders.
And there's some other ones that could have went a different way. But I'm happy because the future is bright and the direction is going in a good way. So the Vikings, if they beat us on Sunday, yes, it's going to hurt me and I'm going to be disappointed. But I'm still going to be happy and proud as a Giants fan because I know we're going in the right direction. If we win, bonus, which we do have the opportunity to win. So it's the same thing with this. We're saying, like with the Mets fans, we won 10 straight, we're going to the World Series. Slow down. Whoa, bro! It's game 62 of the season. There's 100 games left. You haven't won the stop. Like just.
And then the one pitcher that put in work for the Padres last year, you let him. Well, we already talked about the Jacob DeGrom signing with the Texas Rangers, so yeah. But getting back to the Nets, so.
The Brooklyn Nets winning 11-12 or 10 games straight. It's like, we can win 20, 25 straight days. Just shut up. Just be happy that we won 11 straight because something can happen. And we know that the Brooklyn Nets have had things happen in the last few years, right? So let's just be quiet so that something don't happen. And as soon as you blink, Kevin Durant hurt. Oh, damn. Oh, somebody stop whispering. And as soon as injuries are a part of sports. But that was my thing that, man, sometimes, Rafi, you have to know how to be a humble boxer in a fight. Sometimes you got to throw punches and you punch somebody and just fall back and you ain't even got to let them know you punched them, but you was there. And then you don't make a big punch until it's a big thing. So guys in the back, Brooklyn Nets comparison, they're saying, the Giants got a chance. Y'all can get past. Bro, let's just slow down. I'm happy that we in. I'm happy when the division in our future is bright. And I know we have a good chance to better match up against the Vikings. But let's slow down that Super Bowl talk right away.
The Vikings only won 2 playoff games in the last 10 or 15 years. Both of them coming against the Saints at home. So,
but Brooklyn, they should still be able to hold the water through. I hope they do. I really hope they do. And before you go to the next point too, I think don't forget that I forgot that South Shore beat Canarsie the other day in the game. They played it again, but that's a whole different topic. We'll get to that.
Wait. South Shore defeat Canarsie. Are you serious?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
They play again.
I know they play today, but don't do that.
I'm sorry.
Jared Dingle Jared Daigle, Canarsie, you let Jared Daigle, the guy that choked against.
Oh, would you stop it? Oh, Jared didn't have any choke moments. Did Jared choke against somebody? What happened? No.
Don't say it. Samarin.
Oh, the Zavarian game. Right. Right. Man, you know how I feel about that Zavarian team. I like that team. Oh, that kid Muhammad. Not so right. But that's all right. I wish they could play again. That'd be cute. They Catholic. I mean, they're Catholic, great Catholic, so I'm not going to depreciate them because Zavarian can win it all.
Yeah,
but it would be nice if they could play again.
I did see social media footage of your friend Moldinga at Canarsie earlier today. And don't worry about it, Canarsie. We'll shut him down in South Shore. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Canarsie will bounce back. Don't worry about it.
I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to be a sweep. I don't know, big guy. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to break his spirit. I'm gonna have to break his spirit, and the one way that I can break his spirit during this conversation is the New York Knicks choking to the Milwaukee Bucks again earlier this week.
Okay, yeah,
they bounced back in but yeah, they won five. The Knicks won 5 of their last 6. They're in the 6th seed again. Are you satisfied?
Oh yeah. Listen, losing to the Bucks by 4 is not. I mean, Bucks are such a phenomenal team. Can you imagine when Chris Middleton comes back to that basketball team? Oh my God! But the that's a good loss. You know, if we never hate to say that, but we come on, Feek. We've dissected this so much. This is what the Knicks are going to be. They're going to be 5, 6. You know, they're that type of team. They have good things on the team too. RJ just came back. RJ's playing the basketball back too as well too, playing with the situation with the finger. But I'm not mad at that. I think they'll bounce back and get a win in the next contest. And no, they're 6 seed. That's pretty much what it's going to be. And see, now with situations like Brooklyn, having that situation, and with the East getting so much better, you see, because look, the Cavs dropped down a little bit. They didn't drop, but like, what's it now in the East? Boston's number 1.
Well, Boston
Brooklyn's number 2.
Milwaukee number 3. Cleveland. Well, I think Cleveland's Cavaliers are number 4. The Sixers are number 5, and the Knicks are number 6.
This would be their time. Is somebody hurt?
You know, the Cavaliers won in Portland, but Portland been struggling. So
I think the Knicks will stay there as long as they don't. They just don't. What? Who did you say the 3 seed is right now?
The Milwaukee Bucks.
Yikes! That's who the Knicks would match up with if they stayed at 6. So.
But you know what?
That team changes.
But you know what? I'm going to get you to the sports clip of the week. It's coming from a New Year's resolution by a certain special guest that I've had earlier this month in Dexter Henry, where he made his New Year's resolution of what he wants to happen this year, 2023. So, yeah.
All right, it's the new year, and with the new year always comes resolutions, but no resolutions here today. With sports in the new year comes bold predictions. So I'm here to give you my boldest predictions for New York sports in 2023. First up, let's go to the Diamond, where the Mets and Yankees have had themselves very active off seasons, especially the Mets. The Metropolitans owner Steve Cohen has gone on a spending spree that has some other owners salty. And the Mets are viewed by some as the favorites to win the 2023 World Series. Now, the Bronx Bombers, they brought back slugger Aaron Judge and also added starter Carlos Rodon in hopes that this is the season that they can knock off the Houston Astros and return to the World Series. You know what? I say they will. The Yanks will get back to the Fall Classic, and so do the Mets. The best baseball teams in New York City will be here in NYC in 2023, and we will have a Subway World Series for the first time since the year 2000. Come on, New York baseball fans, you got to feel me on this one. It's a pretty good prediction. Okay, now for Big Apple basketball fans. Right now, some of you are all aboard the Nets bandwagon, and I get it. They're hot, KD is playing at an MVP level, but it always feels like drama is right around the corner with Brooklyn. Now, to be fair, it has been all about basketball for them lately and no more drama. And I think that will bode well for them for the rest of the season. I predict for them to have a strong regular season and finish with the top seed in the NBA's Eastern Conference. However, let's bring some drama into the playoffs. Why not? They're going to finish with the number 1 seed, and the Knicks, they're going to finish with the 8th seed, setting up a battle for NYC in the first round playoff matchup with, get this, guys, the lower seeded Knicks pulling off the upset in 7 games and effectively ending the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving era in Brooklyn. From the hardwood, we go to the ice, where the New Jersey Devils have had themselves quite the season as we approach the halfway mark of the NHL campaign. The Young Devils currently have the 4th most points in the conference. The Rangers, despite turning things around lately, have had a disappointing season, with their Vezina-winning goaltender Igor Shesterkin not looking otherworldly. So, in the theme of New York area teams playing each other in 2023, you know what we need? A Devils versus Rangers playoff series. In fact, I predict these two teams will make it happen when the stakes are high in the Eastern Conference Finals, just like they did back in 1994 when the Rangers last won their cup. And you know what I predict? History is going to repeat itself, at least in the Conference Finals, where the Rangers knock off the Devils to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. That one is for my producer, Chris. Okay, now to the gridiron for my last 2 predictions. Let's start with the Jets. It was undoubtedly a disappointing 2022 season for Gang Green as they missed the playoffs for the 12th straight season. That's the longest drought in the NFL. And look, the Jets defense, it's nasty, but they don't have a quarterback. Mike White, nice story, but he's a backup. And I'm not sure Jets fans even want to see Zach Wilson on the roster next season. So here's what I think. Woody Johnson knows that he has to get a QB. Don't give me Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr. The Jets knows those guys are competent, but they're mediocre. Mr. Johnson, he's going to open up that checkbook and bring in the most dynamic QB who will be a free agent. I can see it now. That's Lamar Jackson running wild all over MetLife Stadium and destroying AFC East opponents. This is the move the Jets have to make, right? Because we know they can't draft a franchise QB. It ain't easy being green, but Woody Johnson will show Action Jackson the green. And for my last prediction, let's go to the Giants, the G-Men. They're going to build off their shocking 2022 season. This offseason, they will get Danny Dimes some weapons, whether it's via trade or the draft. And look, I like what Brian Daboll is building in East Rutherford. In fact, I like what he's building so much, I think that he has the Giants leveling up in 2023. Next season, it's not going to be about just a playoff berth, but it's going to be about winning the division. Forget the Philadelphia Eagles. Forget the Dallas Cowboys. The New York Giants, led by Danny Dimes, Saquon Barkley, and a revamped offense, will be champions of the NFC East in 2023.
Yeah, that's a prediction that Dexter Henry made, and shout out to him for coming on the show like literally weeks ago. So, thoughts on everything you predicted in that video?
Dex, I like you, but I mean, he said some really phenomenal, astute things. But just some of the end predictions, I'm just not sold on. Let's start in a different perspective. The Knicks do have a chance to finish at the 8th seed, but I don't think they will. I think how the East is set up, barring no major injuries, and even though they play well with guys down now too, I think the Knicks are going to be 6 to 8, but I don't think they'll fall to 8. But they better be careful because Miami and Atlanta's there, so that is a possibility. Now we see with Durant being out for a month, we'll see how that affects them. But still, with certain situations, I don't think the Nets will get to the number 1 seed now. I think that's going to be very difficult now, being that Durant's going to be out for a month, even though they're still going to win games, just not as much as when he's there. And the Celtics are going to win. The Bucks are going to continue to win, and the Bucks are getting Middleton back very soon. Sixers are fully healthy. Same thing with Cavs. So it might be very difficult for them to get back to the 1 seed. So the 1-8 with the Knicks, I don't see that occurring. And even if it did, I'm sorry, as the biggest Knicks fan in the world, I do not see the Knicks beating the Nets as an 8 to the 1 seed and being the Denver Nuggets.
I bet you that's the same thing you thought back in 1999 when it was the Knicks and the Heat. You thought that back then. Don't think it can't happen again. I understand it's a different roster. I understand we're 20 plus years since that time, but don't think it can't happen again. Don't think it can't happen again.
Remember Kayvon Thibodeau? I get it. Historically, those are 2 different teams, guys.
I understand.
Ewing,
I mean,
pretty well, Houston, and the Knicks. Even though the Knicks did accomplish that, let's be honest, guys. We know the Knicks weren't supposed to be an 8 seed that year. They were decimated with injuries. It also was a shortened season, and they were probably one of the most prolific 8 seeds in the history of 8 seed history for NBA basketball. So that the core was different, and the wars they had, they knew. Bayern and the Knicks knew each other. This is a Knicks team that has been dominated by the Brooklyn Nets over the last few years, and they've had victories here and there, but if that happens, Dexter is going to win the lottery, and it could happen, and he would be the man, and that would be the end. That psychologically would definitely be the end of the Nets. Because if you lose to the Knicks as an 8 seed with just these hardworking guys and no stars, even though Brunson is a breath of fresh air for the New York Knicks, okay? And Julius Randle is playing a really good, solid year. If it wasn't so loaded with front court players, he'd be a guaranteed all-star. And I still love what RJ Barrett is doing with his progression and growth. Look how he played coming straight off the injury. That would be such a disappointment. I don't see that happening basketball-wise, but that's a cool one to go with for right there. Now, the next one, the Rangers and the Devils. Now, listen, I'm a hockey guy. I'm not even going to let him get none of this crap right here, okay? The Rangers, it's so crazy how barometers are set. The Rangers last year were not expected to be a postseason team. They weren't supposed to go to the postseason. They were actually egregious the year before. They had the opportunity to play that whatever bubble wobble to get into the playoffs with that play-in thing, and they didn't make it, right? So they weren't supposed to go to the postseason, and they were ahead of schedule last year by being so good and shocking people and coming up and getting good with a good coach along the way. And then made a postseason run all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. They lost to the team that won the Cup the year before. So they overachieved. So this is how we do, especially in our cities like this. Now it's like, now I'm not going to lie. As a Ranger fan, we want to get back to the Eastern Conference or possibly win it. So we do have high expectations. But let's be fair and real. Carolina is really good in the East. For people who don't watch hockey, Carolina is really good in the East.
Yeah, but the Rangers beat Carolina. The Devils beat the Carolina teams. Let's not forget that. And they're knocking on the door for the top spot in the Metropolitan Division by like 4 points.
Are you kidding? You're doing this with me? Are you serious? Wait a minute. I know this, and Boston is really good. Boston is the best team in the Eastern Conference between the two of the divisions, with the Metropolitan, so on and so forth. So remember, hockey is about winning games. That's how you generate more points for your total, for the points total. The new setup of hockey is not by, it's by who the two top teams. But if you get the most wins, you have the most games. So it's about the who scores the most goals from all the top 8 teams to get into the postseason. So right now, at the moment. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, I know I'm not mistaken, I just did it. The Devils are 4th and the Rangers are 5th. So technically, they wouldn't even play in the Eastern Conference Finals. They would play the first round.
That's a fact.
So that would be the scenario right now. Now, the way everything is set up now, and there's plenty of time in hockey left, even though there's only like maybe 30-something, 40-something games, just like NBA. NBA reached halfway point, right? NBA is like 42 games now, 43. Mm-hmm. Same thing with close to hockey. The Rangers are probably not going to get, or the Devils are probably not going to get no higher than a 3 seed. Because I don't expect yes, the Rangers beat Carolina. I know this. Yes, the Devils beat Carolina too. I know this. But the way Boston and Carolina started off, as long as they stay even keeled, they'll be the 1 or 2 seeds. Now it's up to those other teams in the core to catch up for 3. Let's suppose Devils and Rangers stay where it is, and I want the Rangers and Devils to stay at the 4th seed. And 4th seed. That they're playing the first round, and then that would decide the destiny. So I don't see the Eastern Conference Finals unless you're telling me the Rangers and the Devils are going to get stupid hot, and the Rangers are not going to fall to no 8 seed. So that's not going to happen. So that one he can forget about for hockey. That might be a first round scenario. And please, in the NFL, would we stop it? Would we absolutely stop with the New York Jets? Stop. 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 Lamar, I would love to see it happen.
Be nice.
Stop. Let's just cross. That's not the thing I'm talking about. Listen, Dex had to do that. That was a prediction, great show. But let's call before we walk. Let's just stop. And the Giants might have opportunities to do things, but that is one of the things that he pointed out that was key. And to backtrack before I open the Giants, and to say that the Rangers are having a disappointing year is so unfair because last year they weren't supposed to go to the postseason. So everything that they did was a bonus. Now you bring it into this season and you expect to be just the same or maybe a little bit better. But let's be fair, the Eastern Conference is good too. And last year the Rangers didn't go in as a 1, 2, or 3, or 4 seed. Let's be fair. They went in as the nucleus that they are right now. So if anything, whether we like it or not, they're doing the same pace that they was last year, just with knowing who they are more. And you're not, Igor Shesterkin is not going to block everything every single time. As great, Henrik Lundqvist, Mike Richter, but Henrik Lundqvist was a phenomenal goalie with the Rangers and one of the greatest goalies to play hockey in the history of hockey, right? Mm-hmm. There were years that that Lundqvist was getting lit up. But he's still our franchise goalie. So unfortunately, that's the thing we think about hockey too. There are some really gifted, skilled guys that can score goals in the game of hockey. Really gifted guys. And there's going to be times that no matter how good and great you are, you just have a bad 3-4 weeks where you can't stop nothing. You know, sometimes goaltending is like a hot hitter in baseball. When he's hot, he got 3-4 weeks where the ball looks like a beach ball. And then when he's cold, well, that ball looks this small every time you come to the bat. And so the Rangers are at the pace where they're supposed to be, and they're on pace to do what they had to do. I'm not even buying none of those disappointing words with them because I don't even know what that word means with them. Now, back to the
Jets, possibly Lamar Jackson during the offseason, but let's be fair. Zach Wilson sucks. Mike White has one good game. One good game. After that, you don't do good ever again.
Now,
Joe Flacco goes way past his prime.
Ugh,
so
yes, he goes another alarming number.
That'll be a big boost for the New York Jets.
If they get Lamar Jackson, listen, come on, everything. Oh man, the whole situation changes. The whole division is on notice, absolute notice, but because of how dynamic he is. Especially with those offensive talent they have, and if the kid can come back from the ACL surgery successfully, Breece Hall, then you know you got some clicking here. But you know he goes the other factor though, and that's if there's a lot of things that will take for that to happen. But one thing about my Giants, and no matter how far they go this year, whether they lose this week, win this week, make a Super Bowl run, win it, don't, whatever, who knows, right? The most scariest stat they're going to look back on and they have to get better on is in division. And if you look at it in division, they were 1, 4, and 1. You got swept by the Eagles, swept by the Cowboys, who you have not been able to solve both of those teams for the last 6 years.
And then you won in time with the Washington Commanders.
Right. And you were 9-6-1 and you qualified for the postseason. You qualified in week 17. Now, if the Giants were 3-3 in the division, what are they?
They're probably 5th seed.
12-win team.
They're 12.
You go 3-3, which means you take away a tie, and you're 12 and you have 12 wins. Yeah, so the biggest barometer they're going to have to catch next year, in order for what Dexter to say to come to fruition, which can, and I know Brian can motivate them, is you have to win your division, and the only way you can do it is by beating the core teams in your division. It can't just be to be content with dominating the Washington Redskins,
Commanders.
It cannot. They have to figure out how to split with the Cowboys and the Eagles. If anything, you must win your home games. And if you can go 3-3 in the division, I mean, you heard I didn't even say 6-0, right? You heard I didn't even say 5-1. I didn't even say 4-2. 3-3. You go 3-3 in your division. Wow. You're talking about a whole different story. Because here you go, Rafique, you're good with math. And I dropped out in the second grade. If you have 4 teams in your division, so you play, not including yourself, you play them six times, right?
In total.
In total. And you are 1-4-1 in your division. That means you beat most of the out of schedule teams, whether AFC or NFC, in your schedule. So your problem is your own division.
Yeah, exactly. 8 of the 9 victories have come against teams outside the NFC East.
I hope next year they make the Giants play Houston, Indianapolis, Tennessee, and Jacksonville. Because clearly in that division, we got something good going on there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not like that. I mean, we swept the AFC South, but next year they're going to be playing against the AFC West.
Who's that? Chargers, Kansas City,
Broncos, Chiefs. No airline. Yeah.
And Raiders.
No, I'm lying. They play the AFC East. The Giants are going to be playing the AFC East next year.
Oh, Jets, Patriots, Dolphins,
and Bills.
You know, I like that. I like that.
They will play the AFC West opponent against the Los Angeles Chargers. That's the Jets when we play the AFC West.
I like that. In the AFC East, they play their cards the right way. They can go 3-1 or 2-2. I like that. I can see that.
Yeah, because they can beat the Dolphins. They can beat the Dolphins and the Jets. They can't beat the Buffalo Bills they can beat the Patriots because it's Mac Jones.
We can beat the Patriots. Yeah, that's what I said. I can see them going 3-1 because they could beat those 3 teams. Their biggest barometer would be that Buffalo game. Now, where they would do it, whether they would let us play in Jersey or Buffalo, that's key. And how we play.
Keep with Buffalo next year.
Now, of course, they would do that.
Because they already because remember they already played that game in the Meadowlands and the Buffalo Bills smoked the Giants a few years ago to start up. I believe it was the start 2019 season.
Was that okay? Buffalo got us that. Oh yes, that's the first. I never forget that. That's the first time in 722 years that the Bills beat us. And then the Buffalo Bills fans that now I said, wait a minute, where these Bills fans come from? I said, oh my goodness, I like this. This is cute. That's real cute. That's real cute. I like that. Listen. But nevertheless, with Dexter saying what he's saying, he has a point. If the Giants can figure out how to get to a better competitive winning ground against the Eagles and the Cowboys and keep their same core against that, I can even be unfair to say, man, if you could just sweep the Redskins like you usually do, and split against the Eagles and Cowboys, that's 4-2. And that makes the production a whole different way. So if they can get past that, they can figure out some of those realms. The Jets won't be that unless they land a big quarterback. So whether it be Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, or a Jimmy G, because the defense and stuff is meant to win now. If they don't get one of those big guys, it won't turn right away. And I personally think that if they can't get one of those big guys, it might sound crazy. I know the history says they haven't drafted a quarterback. Draft one anyway, and draft one of the really big kids that's coming out that you have because will have a good draft pick, and you develop him over time. You tell the fan base, same thing like the Giants did this year. Hey, guys, listen, we're starting over. It's not going to happen right away, but we guarantee you that we're going to play tough every week. They're going to play hard. And
exactly.
Exactly.
Once upon a time, they drafted Daniel Jones. Nope, a lot of people, including myself, wasn't high on this guy. And you see what he did a few years later.
100%.
Okay, now to finish off another conversation about Dexter Henry's prediction video, there's one topic we left out. A possible New York Yankees versus New York Mets World Series.
What
are your thoughts on what he said about that possible World Series in 2023?
need my water sit because that just makes me unbelievably piping mad. But unbelievably.
And I don't believe it, especially since Cleveland get Carlos Correa. He went back to Minnesota for 6 years by getting injuries and issue. His health, his physical.
Would we stop? Would we just please stop?
This is prediction for you. He made the prediction. Stop me.
Who's Dexter? Dex, no, email and text Dex now. Dex, first things first. The Yankees have to beat the Houston Astros. let's start with my own team. Let's not even. I'm not even going to take the 7 train to Queens right now. I'm going to take the 4 train and the D, and I'm going to tell you about 161st Street and Grand Concourse. The Yankees did great things in the offseason. We signed one of the best talents and our best player, our best talent in history with not in history, excuse me, but in one of the best talents of baseball now, in Aaron Judge, which was a smart thing to do. They signed Carlos Rendon, and Rendon is a stud pitcher, which illuminates the pitching staff incredibly. You have oh Jesus Christ, I'm so out of baseball right now. You have Garrett Cole. Now you have Rodon as your second, Luis Servino, strong third, Nestor Cortez, solid left-handed veteran guy who can go to the fourth hole, and who they have on the back end. Oh God, there's a kid they have on the back end who they can throw on the back end, but there's somebody else that I forgot for that core too that they brought in. They improved in the bullpen. So I expect them to be better and make a run. But just like I told my guy in the back, and I'm so serious about this. I texted him the other day, so he broke my chops because I jerked at him a little bit about the Carlos the Correa thing. But I'm gonna go into a whole thing why I think that the Mets that they did that was the best thing that could happen to them. And the only thing that I clowned them on is because I said, you guys are groupies. I'm going to go back to that point in a second. But the Yankees did the right things with certain things. But even so, I told this guy, me and him, I said, I don't want to hear baseball from you this year. I don't want to talk baseball. I'm so serious. Me and him have to go to the Yankees Mets game. I said, listen to me. Do not call or text me the whole entire season about baseball. Me and you are null and void from talking about baseball because me as a Yankee fan, I'm done with the first 162 games of the Yankees. I don't care if they win 162 games, 161, 100, 90, 84. I don't give a crap. I just want them to qualify for the postseason, however they do, and figure out how to beat the Houston Astros and go to the damn World Series. Because I am sick of watching the same movie over and over and over and over again. So I don't care about the regular season no more. Don't call me. I don't want to hear the Yankees won 9 straight. I don't want to hear they won 12 straight. I don't want to hear they lost 3 in a row. I don't want to hear they lost 4 in a row. I don't want to hear they won 6 straight. I don't want to hear it. Call me on October 25th when they go to the World Series. Then I'll lose my pacemaker, but I'm done. That's the first thing with my own team. So we're going to stop. And we have no idea how to beat the Houston Astros. So before the heck we think about getting to the stinking World Series, we'd have to win the pennant first and beat the Houston Astros. And just in case he didn't know, we didn't beat the Cleveland Indians by leaps and strides. And the Cleveland Indians are going to be back, and they're going to be very decent and very good. So we have a lot of other things we need to be concerned about just in the National League. I don't give a damn about I'll get to Carlos Correa. But so that's the first part of that dream. Let's worry about that first, Bronx, before we even get to the World Series. Can't even beat Houston. The Mets, are we absolutely serious? Are we kidding? Oh my goodness. We're talking about the team that can't even win the division, Lord. They can't win the division. And his prediction has them in the World Series, the Fall Classic. Do me a favor, Dexter. Let's let them win the division first. I don't care if they brought Kate Upton, Justin Verlander, and Britney Spears himself to the Mets. Okay? Nothing with all those acquisitions and everything that this billionaire guy is doing. And I'm laughing because I'm watching the Mets with this billionaire owner buy everything moving. And these are the same fan base that have criticized the Yankees in the past for spending money to win. And they're doing the same thing, but it's okay because it's the Mets. So, and if it doesn't work in 10 years, I'm going to say, that's a whole different conversation. But now, Atlanta and
Philadelphia.
And Philadelphia got better too. Did you just see what they picked up? Okay. So they picked up Trey Turner from the Los Angeles Dodgers. They signed him to an 11-year deal. Trey Turner's the World Series champion, a proven winner, and a quality hitter inside of this league. And just in case they don't remember, the Philadelphia Phillies went to that thing. What do you call it? The World Series. Just
the World Series against the Astros, not the Mets.
So before they could win the division, Atlanta and Philadelphia are really good. And they're going to fight in that division as well, too. So that would be the first part. And then the Mets would have to actually get to the World Series. So, and baseball, it takes so many different factors. I'm just not even going to go there for true stories and hype stories. It's amazing. But Mets, they need to stop. This is the team. They are the biggest groupies in the history of New York sports. Only them would watch this. I just told this guy, the San Francisco Giants offered Carlos Correa 13 years, $350 million.
And they picked up Michael Conforto, a former New York Mets.
Yeah, whoop-dee, stop the parade. So Michael Conforto is the San Francisco Giants. They have now elevated to World Series Barry Bonds status because of Michael Conforto, who used to play for the New York Mets. Stop it. The San Francisco Giants, and this is on a serious note, and everything else that I've said before, I really mean as well. The San Francisco Giants are one of the most model organizations for baseball in the last 25 years of baseball, and in history. Right? We can agree that they do things the right way. They make good decisions. They do things in a correct way. And the Giants have won 3 titles in the last 15 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're doing. We can say that the San Francisco Giants have a smarter baseball perspective than the New York Mets in the last 15, 20 years and now, correct?
Yeah, correct. And you know,
right?
Not to go off topic, but a lot of people forget the Giants used to play in New York. A lot of people forget that. The Polo Grounds, I believe it was close to Mega. I believe it was close to where Mega Ever College is. Over
there by Brooklyn.
Imagine what would happen if the Giants didn't leave New York.
100%. Now think about this. The San Francisco Giants, who have money, but watch how they spend money, because they were willing to give Aaron Judge the farm, and Aaron Judge stayed here anyway. God bless him, and still got paid ridiculously. And there's something else in the contract that's going to work out to get something close to the same. Nevertheless, they missed out on Judge, and they signed Conforto, like you said, but they were going to give Carlos Correa 13 years, $350 million. He took his physical, he passed, but during the physical, they're concerned about the situation going on with his ankle, with this thing he had to deal with in the past, and what could occur with certain things with that certain situation in the future. The Giants ran like a girl running in the park that sees 2 stick up kids. They said, no, hey, Correa, thanks, but no thanks. We can't do this deal. We're concerned about the situation with your leg. All fair, we run, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 48 hours, guess who was the biggest groupie who called Carlos Correa immediately to take him on a date?
And to be fair, the Mets already had enough injury-prone players throughout the past few years that made them they went from leading the division at the beginning to losing at the end.
You tell me this, you billionaire dummy, You big dummy. You just watch this organization over there that has done way better, more smarter baseball things than you've done in your whole entire life. And I don't even know how much baseball into it you probably really know. You just know how to sign a damn check. And you're learning how to do what the hell you're doing. And you watch the Giants run away from this guy. In 48 hours, you go to his house to give him $315 million for 12 years. You're glad it didn't work out, you big dummy. You'd have had the guy going uptown to dance at the Spanish clubs every day, eating rice and beans. His ankle would have turned away and flipped away in 2 seconds, and you would have had him for 12 years under a contract for $315 million. You were done a favor. The Lord gave you a gift. Why would you sign Carlos Correa? He is not going to have a long career with the ankle. That's why the Giants ran. So when that happened, I was just like, oh my God, how stupid can they be to do this? Glad it worked out for them. Now, the reason why he went back to Minnesota is because Minnesota knows the situation with his body and his health. So they're going to take whatever losses come with it. That's why they did 6 years, and the other thumbs are like incentives and things if he does work out health-wise and go from there. But a Subway series, please, let's just leave that at Subway the restaurant, because I'm not buying anything of that crap right now. The Mets don't know how to win the division, and the Yankees can't beat the Houston Astros. So just call me when it changes.
You got an interesting point. And shout out to Dexter for putting together for that the phenomenal piece and a bunch of other pieces.
Yes.
Catch up on the New York Post. He's had CP the franchise. He's had so many different content creators, including Christina Williams for Girls Talk Sports TV.
Yes.
He's done a phenomenal job putting together these pieces for the New York Post and SNY. And yeah, coming soon, you about to catch me on this NBA Exchange show.
That'd be dope. That's gonna be pretty cool right there.
Yeah, so you're gonna hear me talk all things NBA. So get ready for my appearance on the NBA Exchange show when it happens.
Yeah. That's a good moment. That's good work for you right there.
We're still working in progress. He got back to me. He does the shows on Mondays, Wednesday, and Friday. He has enjoyed. He does a lot of NBA topics. So look out for my appearance on the NBA Exchange in the near future. And it's a why New York Post make it happen. But that's another topic before we get off the air. Now, I promise you, I was gonna say this, and Deb was covering the college football weekend. She was at the Rose Bowl. She met me at Con, and I already posted the episode where she talked about her experience covering college football playoffs weekend. Now, let's just talk about the fact that Georgia smoked TCU. Were we surprised? I mean, come on. It's Georgia.
No.
SEC. SEC owns the college football playoffs. Let's be real.
No, I knew that was going to be tough for TCU to battle. Shout out to them. Really great season. But, I mean, Georgia, like you said, with the SEC and them playing teams like Alabama and their success over the last few years, plus the talent and the crop they had coming in, that was just a roadblock waiting to happen. And Georgia's the national champions. They deserve it. They earned it in the tournament, and they've been so really good the last few years. With you think about it, the last few years has pretty much been Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson that's been winning the national championship. Joe Burrow snuck in one time with the LSU thing, and those guys they did phenomenal. Yeah, but those 3 organizations have been, especially since the tournament set up has come into play, has been the ones that are pretty much been successful with it. And Georgia's just a really good football team. They got like 14 guys that are going pro.
Hey, that's college football for you. I mean, college football is really unpredictable. Nobody expected. We gotta give TCU credit. They're the same peers of college football. They didn't expect. They had no business being in that round. They had no business.
Exactly.
They played well-handed schedule. They had no business beating Michigan, which is coached by I believe it's John
Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh, yeah. They had no business getting that far, but we got to give TCU credit for credit is due.
Actually, no, is that Jim? That's Jim Harbaugh. I'm sorry, John is on the Michigan, Baltimore Ravens. like the other Harbaugh per se. Yeah, and you know what the crazy thing? Me and my guy talked about this with college football. Michigan is always so good, and he always does good with them in conference, but they can't win no big games. Go check them out in the last few years. Even with the whole setup and all, Harbaugh can't make them win big games. They always choke. Same thing with Ohio State. Ohio State had 1 year where they won it. Where I think all the guys had run out of it. I think they did win the national championship during the playoff format, like the early parts. But every time for the most part, they games or they always find a way to give up the cheeks. So both of those two teams, I just wasn't sold about. My biggest measure to them is how teams match up against the SEC. I'm sorry, that's the barometer we have to look. When you're talking about being the big dogs. When you can compete against those teams in the higher echelon in the SEC, and the years when, and even so, I'm not a Clemson fan, but I'm a Clemson supporter per se because one of the young pups we know, I consider him like a younger nephew per se, went to Clemson. My son's uncle went to Clemson. He was on the team. He played with Deshaun Watson, but he was there the year they lost in the national championship. And the next year he was there with them as like an assistant or linebacker coach or something like that. And so I watched and follow Clemson. Clemson is really good every year, but there's been times that Clemson has played an SEC team or Alabama and got beat bad. Remember, Clemson played LSU in the national championship. LSU beat up on them pretty bad.
Yeah, I remember that one, and that was one. Well, I mean, during that time in 2019, when LSU had that run to the national championship and they won it all, led by Joe Burrow, a lot of people were sleeping on them. Even Alabama fans were sleeping on them. Stephen A. Smith was sleeping on LSU that entire season, and then when they got it done, Marcus used to decide to do to Stephen A. Smith, giving him a taste of old medicine. Talk about yesterday. I tried to tell you when your mom will raise your head and get that belt out. And Marcus Spears and Ryan Clark, they're hardcore SEC guys. They played there.
Right.
They started. They started. That's where it starts in football there. So our only prices in college football is this. There's always going to be for some phenomenal games, especially the ACC.
100%.
Alabama only couldn't make it because, the wins they did, they lost to LSU. They got smoked in the last game of the season, I believe. And then they were supposed to blow out the Texas Longhorns, but they only won by a field goal.
Yeah, and those ones hurt them. They did.
But as college football continues to evolve, let's just say things are going to come, especially since in a few years from now, the college football playoffs is going to extend to 8. So you know there's going to be more playoff games to talk about that time.
Wow. No, that's going to change everything. Wow, it's going to open it up.
Yeah, that's going to open up. That's going to literally open it up big time. Well, that wraps this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for stopping by, Ryan Walker. And look forward to our NFC NFL wildcard recap in the very next episode with that webcast. And then so later this week in another episode, I'm gonna have an interview with this guy named Nathaniel, who's like a director of strategic strategy and partnerships at Rucker Park this Saturday.
All right. Okay, I seen that. Promo for it. I seen that.
Yeah. So look out for that interview. So we're gonna get his perspective of why Rucker Park is big to New York basketball culture. We had Mike Larry. You came on the show a couple times. We always talk about Rucker Park is. We're going to get deeper dive in his perspective on it, as well as his career working in marketing, brand, and strategic. So look out for that one.
Yes, sir. And Crunch Time Basketball will be coming soon, baby.
Yeah, look out for Canarsie to get revenge. Oh, my God.
Yeah, good luck.
It's all the balls out there. Get your head in the game.